All right, welcome back to CrossRutted episode 2, where bench racing meets bar banging. We're gonna go over A1. It lived up to the hype and the expectations. Um, Super excited that the season is underway. But first, I'm your host, Eric Nichols. With me, my co-host, I got CJ Hinkle. What's up, CJ?
What's going on?
On time this time. I
On
like it.
time.
I appreciate
About the only
it.
time in
And
life.
right. And then with me, same from last week, we got Justin Reitz. What's up, Justin?
What's up, guys? Finally, some racing we can talk about. About time we get some motocross.
Absolutely. Well, before we start, diving into the bar bang and the results, I want to go over, a couple of topics, before the gate drop even started. The first thing that I noticed, the track layout, it looked great. Honestly, it might have been the worst first turn design I've ever seen. I mean, I know last year had some pretty bad ones with, hard 90-degree turns, but yeah, Justin, what is your opinion of the track layout? Did you like it? I know the lap times were long for Supercross, but what'd you think?
I think the lap times are actually pretty nice. It's kind of nice having them having some longer laps, but that start was definitely maybe worse than Detroit's was last year with the way they went left and then that tight left. And if you look at that split start, normally they do that like at a Glendale, a long track, to where you have some room. But even if you look at pictures from behind the gate, you could tell that like the last three gates on each side, you couldn't even do anything because you had a tough block in your way. So that was a bummer. But I think that one rhythm section down third baseline was pretty cool. Full length rhythm section.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I think we saw in a lot of the races, it was basically start cross, CJ. Do you think the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the way that they funneled together was a little bit odd. I mean, like Justin said, looking at it from behind the gate, it looked like there was not enough room for the amount of bikes that were on the field there. But I did like the track layout though, and I liked the way that I felt like the whoops were not an advantage to jump them like most of the other tracks that they have set up. Everybody can jump through the whoops and it's fine. And I felt like the fast guys, Eli, throughout the whole entire race, was able to blitz it the way that they had it set up right out of that corner. And I don't know. I wish they did more of that. If they're only going to do 9 whoops, I would like to see them set it up more like that, where it's not an advantage to just 3-3-3 them.
I
Do
didn't
you
even.
think it's because they don't really have time to set up the jumping? They just come right out of the turn and it's just, all right, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna carry my motherfucking go.
I think so. I mean, I think because it was right out of that corner, like you had to carry that momentum. And where these other guys were almost like turning slower to set up their 3-3-3. I mean, you look at Eli, even on minute 20. I mean, he was blazing fast through those whoops compared to the guys that started jumping through them.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think those whoops. I think even having the sand section after kept them from jumping it because they wanted to carry as much speed through those whoops in order to hit that sand section, but I didn't see really anyone jumping them, and anyone that did looked like a C class at Arena Cross because
Oh, I
going down.
think because I took some notes on that, and I think Justin Cooper, Prado,
Hmm.
Malcolm, even Malcolm, I saw jumping through a
Even
little bit.
Jet started jumping them.
Jet was jumping
He
them.
even
Yeah,
mentioned it too.
really the only play because I kind of kept an eye on that, and it seemed like the guys that were still blitzing at the ends were the 3 or 4 guys up at the top.
Yep. No, absolutely. And then of course, heading into, the 250, really the biggest storyline going into it. Kitchen gets sick, doesn't ride press day, goes out, tries to ride practice, and then all of a sudden he just comes out, say, "Hey, I'm switching coasts. I'm going east." Makes the West Coast, even weaker. They announced today that Ty Masterpool is going to take his spot, racing the West Coast. But yeah, Justin, really, really surprised to kind of make that game time decision of, hey, what, I'm just gonna go east now.
You would almost think, how Mitch is with his, hey, everyone's got to be ready for A1. You never know what's going to happen. Kind of surprised knowing Kitchen was sick maybe that week, why he didn't have one, maybe Ty or maybe Hamaker, in California just in case. Even make them practice just in case if Kitchen wasn't able to go because they knew he was sick in like Monday or something. I think they said that he thought they were getting better, but obviously he wasn't.
Yeah, who was it that said they heard rumors that I think RJ Hampshire said like, "Oh, I heard about this like a week ago."
Mm,
Yeah,
yep.
he's been wanting. They were thinking about going east anyways and switching it. But I wonder if Yeah, I don't think it was. I don't know. Could it be Duck and Deegan? Could it be East Coast is stronger? He wants to go race Hampshire Vial, but I don't know why you do that. Race West
I
Coast.
mean, if you're ducking digging, you're going to make that decision before. You're not going to show up on press day with your bike and gear ready to go and just kind of pull out. He had to be really sick to kind of bail like that. But once in, it just kind of makes that West Coast, a little bit weaker now.
And it's
I think
unfortunate.
Masterpool,
Yeah, it's
Masterpool
unfortunate
going to
for
come over,
Masterpool.
but what's Masterpool going to do over there, CJ?
I mean, I just think it's unfortunate for him. I mean, he's got this ride. He's got kind of the spotlight on him to see what he can or can't do over here on a real bike, and then they're going to set him up to come in 25 points down because his teammate kind of flaked on him. It's unfortunate. I mean, I'm still pulling for him. I mean, I don't see how he doesn't finish on the podium many times. He's going to podium. I think he's gonna. I think he's got juju speed. I think he's got that. Shimoda showed us that he does have some speed if he starts up front, but we saw that he has problems with that. But I think Ty can come over and I think he could podium next weekend.
And I think, and a lot of people say, hey, what? Maybe this is the perfect situation for Ty, right? Technically, this is going to be his rookie year. Hey, no pressure now. You're already
Yeah,
25 points down the hole. Just go out there, compete, show us what you can do. So some people think like, hey, actually, this might be a pretty good spot for Ty for him to kind of get his feet wet and just know, like, hey, man, like you're 25 points down. Let's just kind of go in there and lock some laps.
and honestly, I mean the guy that you're out there to beat finished fifth. He didn't win, so you're probably more like 18 points down at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, very true. A couple more headlines going into it. Kind of the funny thing, there was that viral video go around Hunter versus Anderson beef interview. CJ, what did you take away from from that interview?
I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. I didn't realize that they disliked each other that much still over that stuff from last year, and I think Anderson got the best of him with that. Oh, it's Hunter's name is
Jet's
Jet's
brother.
brother, right? Like
Yeah.
that was pretty funny. I don't know. I don't think Hunter's on Jason's level. I think it's kind of comical, but whatever. I didn't realize that it was that big of a deal still from last year, and it's funny because it seems like Hunter's more mad about it than Jet is,
Oh,
which
100.
is interesting. But I thought that comment that he said, "Oh, Jet's brother is his first name," right? That was obviously pretty good.
yeah. No, Hunter was nope. He's like, I don't like him. I have nothing good to say about the dude. Like,
Yeah,
right. Damn. Okay, Hunter. Fuck. Take
yeah,
the stick out of your ass.
yeah. He
Relax.
seemed a little interesting. I was like, man, I thought Jet would be the one to be fired up about Anderson, but I don't know. Seems like
Big
whatever.
brother, right? Big brother stepping in, and he's like, "Hey,
Yeah,
I'll take the punches for you."
Hey,
Another story going into it, Justin, was Roston. Supposedly, this is the first time he's had factory transmission on his Suzuki. As
I heard.
crazy as that sounds like maybe James Stewart brought it back from one of his bikes, showed up with the track, and they just kind of threw it in there. But I, it's just crazy, Factory Suzuki, first time running factory transmission. What kind of a benefit is that for him?
I think it's definitely going to help. I probably boost his confidence too, knowing he's got a better transmission than. I don't know if they were running stock. I'm sure they had something better than stock, but a factory transmission is way different. Taller first, taller second. It's going to help him a lot more probably, and maybe that's why he did come out looking so good. I mean, I said Roxon. I thought he was going to, you know, regress this year, and he came out swinging at day one, and I was actually kind of shocked at. But he looked comfy and fast.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's something that he hasn't had. They tried it before, I guess it broke. They never went back to it, but it's crazy to think that a factory bike like that can't have factory suspension. And then CJ, you touched up on it last week, a little bit concerned for Webb, but it wasn't from the Paris crash. Apparently, he had a big get off at the goat farm, and he was off the bike for a long time.
yeah. That's why I was worried about him. I mean, we talked about our parlays and our betting and Cooper Webb being Cooper Webb. I mean, he's a dog. I mean, he's good. He's got that racecraft. He seems like he's always there. But when it came down to putting money on the line, that was what I was worried about. Was hey, is Webb? He's going to be the one guy that's never going to tell you if I mean he could have two broken arms and he'd tell you he's fine. And I mean I think he went out there and he showed everybody that he's there to play. Yeah, he was off the bike for a long time. He had that thumb injury that seemed to drag on at multiple locations, and I was impressed by Webb. I thought he rode good. I think he's going to be there for the long haul. I think he's going to be there. I mean, putting him up. Who is he up against in the betting this week? Hunter or who?
That was last week. He was against Hunter.
He
Yeah.
no,
Which
he's against Tomac this week, so
no,
I'm taking.
last week though it was him
Oh,
versus Hunter, which
Yeah,
was that was kind
it
of
didn't matter.
yeah,
come
it didn't. Yeah, I mean, it was a that was a joke. I mean, Hunter looked. If you're comparing the two, I mean, he I would have bet the house on Webb after that race.
No, absolutely. It kind of brings it to the betting. We kind of talked about this. Injuries and stuff like this, they're very hidden in the sport. Knowing this information, how much would that have, obviously it didn't make a difference, but if Webb's not on the bike for, a while, he's coming to A1, you're probably going, hey, I might stay away from
Yeah.
that bet, not knowing what I'm going to get from Cooper Webb. So that kind of touches in with sports betting come into the sport, which is awesome, but there's a real problem in the sport of we don't know where injuries are going. So if you're trying to lay down some fat money, you got to be cautious because you really just don't know unless, you have someone, it's an insider that can kind of give you these secrets. Anything else that stood out before the gate dropped in the broadcast?
I don't know, just kind of some comedy stuff like JT's T-shirt looked like he got it from his infant or something, which was kind of funny. Like he was a burst the seams out of that thing, and then I just thought it was funny that Star has like handwritten names on their nose strips, like in case they're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
grab the wrong one or something. Like I saw Dangers or Deegan says Danger on it, and I was like, okay, that's a
Yeah.
Danger thing, and then I saw.
DNGR.
And then I saw Webb and I saw Cooper and I was like, okay, this is just a thing. Like this is a little weird. Are they worried about using the wrong nose strip or what? So
it's
Yeah.
called marketing. Right?
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah, got us
you
talking
could
about
you
it. I
could buy
guess.
those. Hey, yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna find them on Motorsport, and everyone's gonna be showing up
yeah,
with Danger nose patches and shit.
yeah,
But yeah, JT, he's always pushing the limits of any T-shirt he has on. But man, did he come with the fire, man?
yeah.
That the poet, he really set the tone, and man, he stole the show there. So really great start. But let's dive right into it. Um, you know, let's go into, our fastest qualifier, first starting with our 250, Deegan and Juju. We're going back and forth for a while, but Juju ended up taking it. Justin, how surprised were you with Juju being the fastest qualifier of the day?
I didn't think he'd be fastest qualifier. I didn't even know it, but I guess he was second fastest last year as a rookie. So he obviously shows some good speed qualifying. I was shocked Deegan wasn't fastest. All the hype, everything. Almost would have thought it was a Lessie debut and believe the hype when it came to A1 this year for Deegan. So, Juju came out and he made a statement, and after even qualifying, I was like, "Uh-oh, Deegan, Juju may have something for Deegan if they go heads up." So that I was actually shocked by Juju.
No, absolutely. And then CJ, the Shark, Tomac comes out. I mean, him, Sexton, and Jet, that last qualifying, if you watch the leaderboard, they are changing every single lap.
Yeah.
Jet might have got him on that last lap, but he's still coming out of that corner. But what do you think? Sexton, Tomac coming out, setting that fastest lap at A1.
I mean, like we talked about last, our last pod there. I think Eli came into A1 more prepared than we've ever seen Eli. He looked it. He came out there in qualifying. I mean, he looks like he is riding the wheels off of that Yamaha. I mean, he's turning it. His turning speed just looks unreal. Like he looks like he throws that bike around by the back and is just like in and out of those corners. I mean, I know we'll get into it there, but in the main there, when he got pinched off with Prado and Justin Hill, it looked like he could put the bike anywhere he wanted. Like anywhere he wanted to put that bike, he just put it there and was gone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's dive into the racing. We're gonna just jump straight into the 250 main events, right? That's where the money's made. That's where the points are. CJ, what was the biggest surprise of that 250 main in your eyes?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think obviously the biggest surprise is Deegan finishing fifth and coming through the pack. To me, like I talked about it last podcast too. The guy has had a lot of get offs. Right, he crashes a lot, and he just falls well. I mean, he gets lucky and he doesn't get hurt. And we saw it again, but he looked squirrely. Like I made several notes where he's coming through the pack and he's slamming into the next obstacle in the
Hmm.
rhythm sections. He's almost going over the bars a couple times. He's almost sending it over the berm a couple times. I mean, he's riding the ragged edge, which is awesome, and we love to see it. But he looks like he could hit the eject button at any second. And I just wonder if someone is able to put pressure on him, I mean, he's not gonna start like that. I mean, we know he's gonna start up front at some of these races, and he's probably gonna just check out. But if one of these guys can put pressure on him, like I wonder, can he hold it together, or is he gonna throw it away and not have a graceful fall and open the door up for somebody?
And Justin, how much of this do you think it was the A1 pressure, the hype coming in to where he rode a little bit over his head? Towards the halfway point, he really started settling in and started clicking things off. But how much was it, coming into A1, all this pressure of, oh, I got to send it on this star, and then it ends up biting them, and kind of same thing that we saw last year. And you called it. You said, hey, there's a good chance he's going to come out here with all this hype, and he's going to end up shitting the bed, and that's basically what he did.
Yeah, like I said last podcast, I mean, he's obviously the favorite to win, but just the opening round seems like, I don't know if it's the pressure, I don't know what it is. He gets so, hyped up that he just, brain fart off the start and getting pinched in a bad position. Yeah, it could be just that pressure of that first race, getting those nerves out, and kind of talks all this shit just to kind of make it seem like he's all confidence. But, he's really nervous at it, or he's just fucking up his start, and that's pretty much what he's done the last 2 years in a row.
And I
Um,
think it's
Yeah, I
funny too
was.
that the two guys that everyone's trying to make this show about, Deegan and Jet, oh, I'm better than this guy. He's not in my league. Like, I would whoop his ass if he was on a 250, back and forth drama, and then both of them aren't even on the podium. And to me, this shit drives me crazy every time they do it. Is when they go and interview a guy that got fifth place because he's a YouTube sensation or whatever the hell. It just drives me insane. And I appreciate Deegan's response. He was like, "Hey, this shouldn't be about me. This should be about the guys that are up on the box." And it just drives me insane though. It's like, why are you guys going and interviewing this guy that got fifth place just because just because his name is Deegan? Like, it fucking frustrates the shit out of me when they do that.
I
the
mean, we could go into it. They did the same thing for Tomac, right? Last
Yeah.
he got fifth place. I mean, I think they should do interview like the ride of the night, like who had the fastest charger came up, because both of those guys rode their asses off to get to where they were. They're both very much in the title fight. I was hoping this is going to be Deegan's chance to kind of show that he's matured and know that, hey, if I don't have the start, I'm not going to try to force it. I'm going to kind of hang back, get through, especially with how technical that first turn was. But it was barely even anything, right? He just barely clipped the tire of the guy in front and he went down. So I thought there was going to be that change. For me, a couple of surprises. Shimoda, I put him as a pretender. Now, it is day one. Everything has to go his way in order for him to win. That's exactly what happened. But also, the biggest thing for me was Cole Davies.
Yep.
I
Yep.
yeah.
I wasn't expecting him to come out swinging like that. He looked great in the heat race. He was another one. He was almost dead last. That first lap, fought his way all the way back up to eighth. But I mean, really impressive for Cole Davies. His debut. Justin, what'd you think?
I It's got to be impressive. I mean, that's all you can really say about it. The fact that he's a rookie star, he wasn't even supposed to race pro this year, but Star at the test track was like, "You got to race. I mean, you're blowing everyone's doors off. You're fast. You need to go race pros." So I think it's good for him. I mean, he probably does have pressure from how Bobby Reagan is. We want you to win, win, win. But for him being 17 and him to come through the pack at his first race, it's A1, the biggest race of the year. And he came out in the heat race, got the whole shot. What did he lead, half a lap or whatever before Deegan got by him, but held second throughout the heat. And then the main event, although he fell in that early part of the race, I mean, he proved he can pass people. He's got the racecraft. He comes through the pack, and to do that as a rookie and he's 17, it's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. And CJ Shimoda, is this what we're gonna see now with Sean? I know he's training with the Lawrences. I guess he moved to Florida. He was in California. But is this what we're gonna see Shimoda? Are we gonna see him click off a couple of wins, or is just this a typical A1, everything went his way and he got the win?
I mean, a couple. I could see maybe a couple. I mean, I think we're going to see more of Deegan hitting the dirt, and that opens the door for a lot of guys. But like you said, I think a lot of things have to go his way. I think I think Juju has more raw speed. I think even Jordan Smith could be faster. Some of these guys, like Juju, I felt like was faster than mostly everybody on the track, besides maybe Deegan. But he seemed like he struggled to get around people. He rode around behind Jordan Smith forever in that heat race, and And I think he's got to get that figured out. I mean, that's kind of a racecraft thing that he's got to get figured out. But I don't know. I think that Shimoda could win some races, but I don't think that this was groundbreaking. I don't think that he's going to just come out. I mean, it's probably going to help his confidence a little bit. Riding with the Lawrences has got to help him a little bit, but I don't think we see Joe Shimoda line up and just start waxing everybody.
No, I agree. And speaking of Juju, I talked about this before, and Davey was on the Pulp show on Monday night, talking about how, after this, Julian thought that, yeah, he thought that maybe he could go chase down Joe, but being A1, with it being his first Supercross podium on the line, he kind of wanted to hold back. To me, I just saw the same Juju that we saw last year, right? He got good starts, he could hold the pace, but eventually he would just kind of fall back, and that was it. So if I was really going to see that huge step up from Juju, passing Shimoda and winning that race would have been like, all right, he's on the map, he's ready to go. But yeah, I mean, I knew he was going to have speed. We saw that last year. We saw it in SMX. He got a second in the playoffs. Recently, but I was just hoping that he was going to make the pass and really kind of show us that, hey, he's taking this step up. But, Shimoda's fastest lap was 105.7. Julian's was 106 flat. So Shimoda even still had, a few ticks on him. Justin, what did you think about Juju's performance?
I gotta I mean, his performance was good, but I gotta disagree about you thinking it was like the same as last year. Last year, he started up front and faded to like 10 and struggled. I think it was kind of impressive. He didn't look like he was out of control. He didn't look like he was pushing the edge and riding on the edge to stay in second. I mean, a second at round one, pretty much as good as a win. Why throw it away, in the first race of the year? So I think I kind of got to agree with like what Davey said. It kind of looked like he just settled. He made a little push in the beginning. Maybe he got sketchy and, was just like, I'm just going to settle in. And I mean, he didn't have no pressure from third. So it wasn't like he was fading to where he had to fight people off. He was obviously maintaining at least, that gap over third. And he walked away with a second and probably a nice bonus check that might, him and Sexton might make KTM go bankrupt this year.
You're right. Um, a couple of not very good performances that really caught my eye. Jet Reynolds, 22nd. Styles Robinson, we talked about, hey, this is your last go with Triumph. Let's see what you can do. Gets the 20th. And then Michael Mosiman, he's been kind of MIA for quite a while, comes out, gets a 15th. But those three guys really stood out to me. But, CJ, was there anyone that stood out worse, or of those three, who was who just made it look bad?
I mean, I think Jet is unfortunate. He was one of those prodigies coming through the ranks that just won absolutely everything he entered, like AC kind of did when he was younger. And it's unfortunate to see him. It just seems like it doesn't. It's not switching over to the pros. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to see him running up front. Styles Robertson, I don't know. It's almost like that Triumph team is kind of like the last ditch effort to ride factory
Mhm.
before you end up on some satellite team. And I don't same thing. I don't see Styles Robertson, contending for anything of value anytime soon. I mean, I don't think he was that great even on that Husky. I was kind of surprised that he even got that Husky ride. I don't know. I mean, Jordan Smith is kind of their saving grace right now. Jordan Smith has some speed, but you see the same Jordan Smith.
That's saying a lot
Yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly. I mean, he shows flashes of speed, and then yeah, I don't know. I would say, yeah, I think I agree with you. Those three guys, I don't think we're going to see anything great from them. I mean, we see a couple top tens maybe, and that would probably be a good ride for them.
Justin, what about, Michael Mosiman? He's been, MIA. He's on the star bike. He's back. Comes out with a 15th. Honestly, I don't think I really saw him all day.
Yeah, I wasn't really honestly expecting much from Mosman. I was just going to be shocked if he survived it and made it into the main and survived the main event. And he at least did that. So, but we haven't heard anything about him at all. It sounded like his back injury over outdoors was pretty bad. So he's off the bike a while. So, I mean, I guess the fact that he actually finished the race for once has got to be a plus. But the one I thought that struggled was Marchbanks. Like Marchbanks going back to PC, he kind of just was the same old Marchbanks. He was running third and then threw it away, just like kind of how he was the first time he was on PC. Club, he seemed to be putting a good ride in, and then he would either fade back to eighth or he'd crash and make some stupid mistake. And I mean, Marchbanks has got to show something because after this PC ride, I don't even know if Triumph's going to give him a chance. You know, he might
I,
have to.
I thought I
Top.
thought I thought Marchbanks looked good. I mean I thought he was ripping. I mean, yeah, he went down in third place, and then it is what it is. You go down, you go down. But I mean, fuck, I thought Marchbanks was ripping. I mean, he looked good on the bike. He looked like he's fit. He doesn't look like he's like massively overweight for that 250 like he has in the past. I don't know. I mean, I think we see some good rides from him. I think he's one of the guys. I actually made a note that I think he's one of the guys. I think he could win a race.
Oh,
Interesting.
I don't know.
I put Marchbanks as my pretender. A ninth at kind of, however he was going to get. That's what I kind of thought. But look at these lap times. He had the fourth fastest lap time of the field. So the speed is there. Yeah, the stand bit him a bit, quite a few guys. But yeah, that's someone that definitely going to keep an eye on. Last thing I wanted to touch up on, before jumping over to the 450s is, how about that Cody Shock, Hayden Deegan, last two corners, Shock had
Again,
the chance to take Hayden out, kind of get
Ah,
that payback, and he stuck it in there. Hayden's a strong kid, but I don't know. I feel like Shock kind of took a little easy on him, Justin.
he should have blasted his ass after last year when I think Deegan blew him out.
broke his
Hmm.
collarbone.
Yeah,
Yep.
dude, Shock should have came in and freaking just ghost rode that bike right into the side of him in that berm and sent Deegan into the cheap seats of right field. I mean, it would have just been awesome to see. It would have been a big fuck you, Deegan. Payback's a bitch, and I mean, it would have sucked if you would have got hurt, but I mean, Shock, that's your one chance right there. A1. Everyone was watching that battle. I mean, that would have just been a statement. And then if Deegan don't finish that, he's down 25 points in the first.
Hmm.
And then it's going to be another, well, Deegan didn't get a title.
Well, that and now you kind of look like that whole Roxon Cooper Webb, where Cooper Webb is just your fucking master at this point. You know what I mean? Like Deegan's done
Yeah.
it to him twice now. How many times is he gonna let this dude come? Take your fucking girl. Like how many times is he gonna let this happen? And yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit different there because Deegan is charging and probably feeling great, and Shock's probably still trying to hold on to the damn bars.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
he
it's a
messed up. He messed up that rhythm section, right? If he
yeah,
nails that rhythm section, Shock probably runs away with it. But,
yeah,
he comes up short and Deegan just kind of basically jumps over his head and just like, well,
yeah,
shit. All right.
yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Anything else 250s before we go over to
probably
450?
be one of the most surprising rides that we haven't talked about. Quiet, consistent, barely was finished off the podium. He got past with like 2 minutes left. Ryder D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I
Fourth
think
place,
Ryder D looked really good. That's the best that we've seen Ryder D look ever since he went pro, I think.
and he wasn't scared. He was like actually aggressive and like ripping. It
He
was
looks he looks like he's
big,
not a child anymore too
big.
out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah.
it sounds like him and Julian are training together. I believe that's what Davey was saying. They're competing against each other. So that's a good little battle. I feel like those two guys are, a pretty good matchup. I still think Juju has that speed. They both get great starts and they're both mature. They're not going to go out there and make bonehead mistakes, right? They're just
Yeah.
going to go out there, click their laps in. And yeah, I mean, I could very well see one, if not both of them, finishing in the top three because I just don't see either one of them just throwing a race away for, being careless.
I think Ryder D gets 2 podiums. I think he gets at least 2 podiums.
Oh yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Now let's go ahead and we'll jump over into our 450s over there. The very first thing that I had to touch up on, Ferrandis missing the main event. At this point, dude, just go outdoors only. The Supercross
Yeah.
thing is not working out. I mean, Ryan Brees made you look like a fool, trying to pass him out. Maybe he doesn't know who Ryan Brees is. Races the arena cross, but if Ryan Brees sees that, that's
Yeah.
teed up. No problem, CJ. Where are you at with Ferrandis?
I don't know. I mean, I like the guy. And I thought him getting on that Honda, which he claimed he wanted to get on that Honda and he was going to be so much better and blah, blah, blah. And I think last year we saw the same thing we're seeing this year. I mean, that was a little bit of a weird fluke deal. I think he makes most of the mains, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think he has it anymore. I mean, he's a 250 champion, but I don't know. He definitely does not have that speed. I think he's a 10th to 15th place guy on a good night.
A Christoph Porcel Jr.
Yeah,
Great.
even outdoors, I don't think he's going to go do anything special outdoors. I mean, he's going to be a 6th place, maybe outdoor guy. I think I think he hangs it up here soon or he goes back overseas somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he was telling, in interviews from what I was hearing, is that he was saying this is the best he's ever felt on the Honda. He's never felt better. And this
Yeah.
is what happens going to the LCQ. You can't get the job done. I mean, Malcolm was also in the LCQ, but he kind of showed, what an elite supercross rider can do. But yeah, big miss for Ferrandis there. And Justin, I kind of threw this out there on the Pope show. They discussed it, but you know, is it time to get rid of heat races and maybe just go to an LCQ like we see at the Triple Crowns? Get the best 18 fastest guys so that no matter what, you're going to see the best guys out on the track. No matter what, you're not going to get these fluke heat races or LCQs that just you're missing some of the biggest names. Or do you like the way how it is? And sorry, you got to be good every round.
I kind of like the idea you're talking about. I know you mentioned earlier we were talking about it about two motos. I mean, outdoors does two motos. They're doing 230s. So why don't we just do like a Friday night or a Friday? They already do press day. Why aren't we doing open practices on Friday? Saturday morning we can do qualifying. It gives them more time in the day to do track prep, so they're not complaining about how rough the track is. You can do qualifying Saturday, do like maybe a heat or some type of LCQ, just in the beginning of the night show, or just before qualifying or after qualifying is, and then you got the best of the best 22 racing two, 450, 220-minute Supercross mains.
I
Oh,
think.
absolutely. And CJ, what do you think if you got
I,
Sexton versus Tomac Moto 2 at A1? Shit, I'm all for it.
That'd be
Yeah, no, I mean, in a perfect world, I think you make every single race a triple crown. I think a triple crown is unreal, and I think everybody loves it. I think you put the vote to the fans, and they would be on board. I think a couple years, it's probably, man, it's probably been like 10 years maybe. They did do a thing for a while there where it was like if you had a certain amount of points or something. Because Chad Reed, I remember, missed a main, and he raced the main because they had some rule where if you were you had a certain amount of points or past champion or something like that, basically not letting the top names miss the main events was kind of what they were doing. So
that's just
I wouldn't mind them bringing something like that back. Like, hey, if you're in the top 10 in the points and you don't make the main, like you kind of get one or two of these get out of jail free cards
Like a
in case.
mulligan.
Yeah, and they did do that for a while, and they went away from it. And I get it. I mean, there's also some guy in a van that you're kicking out of racing the night show when you do that. But I mean, everyone wants to see Ferrandis line up rather than Justin Starling or whoever else qualified
Yeah.
in 22nd.
And this is the
Um,
second year, right? Last year, Hunter Lawrence misses the main event, right? Now, Ferrandis isn't as big as Hunter Lawrence, but no, like, I'm
yeah,
sorry, I'm not there to watch the guys race that are coming out of the van, right? I
yeah,
want to see the best guys race, and you know, that's what I want to see. Is Ferrandis going to make any big difference? Though he's probably going to finish 10 to 15th, but at the same time, he's a 250 champion. I want to see him race the 450 class versus, a Logan Cardinal or, like you said, a
yeah.
Justin Starling.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it'd be cool if they went back to something like that. Like if it's call it top 10 in points or whatever you want to come up with, but just something that keeps those big names a guaranteed night show guy unless they get hurt.
I think they still
Right.
for outdoors. I think if you're top 10, if you don't qualify like in qualifying, if you don't make it, I think you get into the motos. I
Well,
think
they have it with SMX, right? SMX, the field's already set.
well,
They still do qualifying, but it's always going to be those that are in LCQ.
qualify
They earn
out.
their spot, they're in it.
Yeah, I'm talking.
So there's just so many different formats across, SMX, Supercross, motocross obviously could be a little bit different, but just something to put the stars and put the main part out on the track as much as possible. All right, let's dive right into it. The biggest story, we touched on it, the Lawrences, in our pre-race show, I threw out there, I think the Honda's been a problem. It's been talked about quite a bit. I think, this round really showed us, we saw Hunter go down multiple times throughout the day, practice, in the main event. Lawrence, yeah, he had a bad start, but usually you would see him kind of work his way up the pack and make up some more ground, but he just kind of sat there in, what was it, 12th place, and we didn't really see it. So, Justin,
15th.
I
He rode around in
fifth.
15th until like I think he was in 15th place with like 8 minutes left behind McElrath and Freese.
Yeah, he was stuck behind him for a while, and Justin, I still think that this new Honda, I'm not a big fan of the look of it either, CJ, but Justin, I think this new Honda is a problem, very similar to what we saw a Chase Sexton, last year.
Yeah, I agree. That mean it looked like he's struggling on it. He obviously showed if it comes down to one lap, still. I mean, that qualifying session, he looked perfectly fine. You know,
Mhm.
ripping, but I think that main event and the track's a lot more beat. It's a lot more rough.
Well, and it's
Um,
slick too. I think that track to me, what ruined Lawrence was that track gets moisture in it at night and it gets slick, and he looked like he was afraid. Like he looked like, he never looks like he's riding hard, right? He never, like, the guy looks like he's out for a Sunday cruise even when he's 15 seconds ahead of everybody. But to me, he looked like he was hesitant to really do anything until the bike was straight. Like, he wasn't going into the corners, he wasn't laying it over. Like, it
he was
seemed to me like
frustrated.
he was kind of like cautious until the bike got straight, and even then, like, through the whoops, he looked terrible through the whoops. He looked like he's gonna flip over
Yep.
the bars.
Yeah, he touched upon it on the podium, right? He said, "I tried skimming the whoops, that didn't work. I even tried jumping it, that didn't work." So, struggling across the board. But Justin, what is this, CJ, what does this do for the Lawrence, championship run? Is this it? Is it done? Or is it, no, it's A1. The kid still knows how to ride. Let's give him a couple more rounds and see, because there have been some historical bad A1s, JS7, he got a 19th, Anaheim won 2009, went on to win the title. Ricky Carmichael, 20th, Anaheim won 2002, went on to win the title. So if anything, this is a chance to judge to show, hey, are you one of the greatest or not? Because we've seen it
Yeah.
can be done.
No,
Bill Hood.
and I think that I don't think that Jed didn't lose any skill, but like I said on our last pod going into A1, I think that massive gap that we saw last year in talent, I think that these top guys are bridging that gap for one, and I don't think Jet has the confidence that someone like Eli Tomac or Sexton has coming into the season. He had problems overseas in Australia and Paris, going down, wrecking. He's obviously got problems with the bike. I know he's talking the talk and he wants everyone to make it sound like, oh, I'm going to come out and chase the king and I'm going to go undefeated and I'm going to do all these things. But like I said last week, I honestly, I think he goes to bed and I don't think he feels as confident as we think that he does, or he wants us to think he does. And I think it showed. I mean, he didn't look that great in his heat race either. I mean, I
Mhm.
know he had a fast qualifying lap, one of them, but like, even watching him in his heat race, I mean, I wasn't sold that the guy was. I mean, if I was a newbie that just showed up to Supercross and I'm watching these guys go around the track, I don't think my eyes are fixed on Jet.
No, absolutely. And just, I mean, the starts weren't even there, right? They're both known for being legendary starts. Now, from what I've heard, they made a lot of changes, right? They changed their ECU. They have some different Showa, on there. So there's been a lot of changes on top of it. But going into San Diego, Justin, maybe this is crazy, but is San Diego a must win for Jet Lawrence to show these guys, hey, forget A1, I'm still the man? Or is it, no, let's still give him a couple rounds? It's not a must win situation yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's a must win. I mean, we've seen Tomac have these weird rides to start off the years before when he was on Cowie. So I don't think we can say a must win. It's only round two. But Jet's definitely got to do something to prove, he's got to get a top five this round. I mean, if he don't get a top five, then yeah, we may, be worried a little bit. But this is also a long season. I mean, he could get fire halfway through and click off, wins, 7 wins. You never know. So I don't think it's must win this week though. But he definitely got to prove something.
I think for his own
No.
confidence, he's got to do something. I mean, I think
Yeah.
the more he does this, the more these other guys know that, like, he's
We got him.
not he's not that worry that we got to worry about every single time we come to the track, and it's going to hurt his confidence and it's going to build everybody else's, and that is not something that you want when you're on a track trying to win Supercross races.
No, and going with that, his older brother, I put it in our pre-race show. I thought Hunter was going to pretty tender. I thought, the issues that are here with this new bike, I don't think Hunter has the skill to overcompensate for it like Jet
No,
can. But CJ, I mean, Hunter didn't look good all day long, and I have even less confidence that he's going to figure it out over the
I
next
thought
couple rounds.
I thought he looked terrible. I made a note that I thought he looked bad. I mean, just watching him go through the sand, watching him go through the whoops, like, he looked like it. It looks like they're afraid to ride that Honda. Like, I don't even know what the rules are. They need to go check with AMA. But, like, at what point do you just give them a 2024 and say, let's fucking figure something else out?
Yeah.
Like, are they going to throw away a championship to try to figure out a bike?
Do you
Yeah, and Justin, I don't remember the last time. I mean, they switched to the 2025 early last year. I mean, Hunter was out there motocross. He looked great. He was winning races on it. They were raving about it. I've never seen a bike that's been so awesome in outdoors, but it's just such a problem on the supercross side.
do you think, if you think about it, this bike is pretty much what they've all had from like the Lawrence until the last like 2-3 years? They've probably got a big influence on this bike that's being for 2025. The bike they were on, that was a lot of Roxon, Sexton developing the bike, kind of getting them that good base package. So when they did come up to that 450, I mean, it was a proven bike already. And they, for the last 2 years, have probably been helping make this new bike. And maybe they just aren't as good of a test riders, or good at doing that kind of stuff, to where this new bike, they thought, oh wow, we're going the right way, and then once they hit a supercross track, it was the complete opposite.
And then you look 250 Shimoda out there on the new Honda, and he looks probably the best I've ever seen him ride,
And
right?
and
So
they
just
and they
like,
touched on that too. They said like I liked what they said about Shimoda, like thinking that they needed to set the bike up to be like the Lawrences and like this and that, and then they figured out that Shimoda is a completely different rider. He rides the bike completely differently. They set it up to like his style, and he looked comfortable. I mean, he looked like he could turn. He looked like he didn't look like he was scared of the bike. And I like that. Maybe he's kind of progressing into his own rider and being able to, this is only going to help. You go out there and you're the only guy on the semi that won a race, and you're telling them like, "Hey, I want to do this to the bike." They're going to be more prone to listen to you.
no, absolutely. Going into it, the next one I want to talk about is Chase Sexton. I think Sexton came out and did exactly what he had to do. It wasn't perfect. He still had his brain fart where he stalled the bike in that corner. We heard on the pulp that he didn't even have his hand on the clutch the whole time, which is crazy. Phil Nicoletti even thought he was crazy. But CJ, what did you take away from Chase Sexton's ride? Do you feel more confident about him going through the rest of the season, or is it just another A1? Hey, he got lucky because Tomac hit the deck.
No, I mean, I think Sexton is Sexton. I mean, he's always fast. He's never not going to be fast. He's always going to be the top three fastest guys on the track, any track that he goes on anywhere on the planet. But yeah, I mean, he's got to limit those issues, and he was able to limit them enough to keep him on the top of the box. And I think he just has to keep doing that. He has to, he stayed off the ground, which is big for him. He does like to find the ground, not that he crashes hard, but he always likes to tuck the front or slide out or do something weird. And he didn't do that. Yeah, that whole clutch stalling thing was a little weird, but I don't know. Maybe that's his way to, maybe he had arm pump. It's the first race of the year. Maybe that's his way to keep himself from getting arm pump. Maybe he doesn't ride with his finger on the clutch as much as other guys do or something. And the guy can ride. It's hard to say what he did or didn't do in those situations, but I mean, I think he's going to be there. He's got to limit those issues. I mean, those issues could easily turn into. I mean, he could have actually stalled the bike completely and had to find neutral and get it to start because sometimes you can't just pull in the clutch in fifth gear and push electric start. Sometimes it don't work on those bikes still. And I mean, that definitely could have went south for him. And Roxon was on rails. I mean, Roxon only finished like 4 seconds behind him. He only needed like half a second more of a bobble, and Roxon was going around him.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of that, Justin, I think Chase Sexton of years past, I think Roxon does rattle him. I think Chase kind of stacks up more and more errors, but Sexton made this error and then he kind of checked right back out and left Roxon. Roxon was ripping, and Chase Sexton did throw in the fastest lap time of 104.5. No one else was in the 104, so I mean he was absolutely ripping. But Chase mentioned, has he gotten more mature? Is that what you saw from Chase Sexton here at A1?
I think Sexton looked really good. I think he came out and proved a point. I mean, that KTM I think looks a lot better than it did last year too. He looks a lot more comfortable on it. Besides him running over Eli, I don't think, and that clutch issue, stalling it, I think he had a pretty nice and good night. Even his heat, seemed like he was comfortable qualifying. Like you said, him, Tomac, and Jet were just duking it out. So he was comfy putting in multiple fast laps, no problem. So maybe Sexton makes a run at the title at the end of this year.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I know both of you were really high on Tomac, and I think this is exactly what you guys were hoping. Yeah, it would have been great, but second would have been I want to see Tomac go down. I want to see him charge through the field, Justin, and that's exactly what he did.
I think it's more impressive Tomac his charge through the field than if he would have got that whole shot and finished second. The fact that he proved that hey, like last year when he fell or started out back, he wasn't really able to move up through the field in the beginning of the year. I mean, he fell and he got up, he passed Jet and passed everyone else working his way up. So I think that fifth from Tomac's a great start for him for the beginning of the year.
And then
Well,
CJ, the other side of that, Tomac tucks the front, leading
yeah,
the race, gets the whole shot, and then he throws away the race. So you're like,
I think it's
huh.
yeah,
slick late night A1. That track's
yeah.
super slick.
And that shit's always, I mean, that's going to happen to every single one of those guys. I mean, every one of those guys makes those little mistakes here and there. I mean, it's uncharacteristic of him, but it happens to everybody. And I don't think it was any sign of anything that we're going to see from Eli going forward. I think that honestly, it was a gift to everybody else on the field. Because I think that would have been a bad day to be anybody else on a 450 at Anaheim 1. But I think that ride by Eli was incredible. I think for his confidence, he knows now. I mean, he caught up to within like 3 seconds of Cooper Webb, and Cooper Webb never hit the ground. He came from
Hmm.
last through the entire field, caught Barsha, put a pass on Barsha on the last lap. White flag Barsha is like racing a freaking meteorite. The guy is insane when it comes to. He knows he only has one lap and to ride a wide bike. He already has a wide. He already rides a wide bike. You already know that when you pass him, you have to pass him correctly, or he's going to send you into the cheap seats. And then you give him a white flag on top of that, and he still made it look easy. I mean, he went around Barsha. He cut inside, and he, like I said, he looked like he was steering with the rear wheel, and he was gone. I mean, Barsha had nothing for him, and yeah, I think it was 3.5, 4 seconds that he was on Cooper Webb at the end there, and or Roxon, whoever was in third. Who was in third?
It was
Anderson.
Anderson.
Anderson and then Webb and
Yeah,
then
Yeah.
yeah, on Anderson, and it's like I don't know. I think that was a really really impressive ride, and I think his confidence is just all time. After I mean, you could tell when they talk again. A fifth place conversation, whatever. I'm not really there for it. I think it's interesting when they go and do that kind of shit. Like, why didn't they go talk to Jet when he got 30th or whatever he finished last at A1? But yeah, I think his confidence all time, and I think that he's going to be a menace. I think that he's going to be up at the top every single week.
hey,
Yeah, Tomac
Tomac,
finished. He had the third fastest lap time. Chase 104, Roxon 105.1, and Eli Tomac 105.2. Charging through the pack. So, yeah, he absolutely looked solid there, Justin.
did you hear about Tomac doing his base camp in Phoenix?
No,
He
that's
was
interesting though.
I I think it was on the Supercross special. I heard it. I don't know if it was on Race Day Live or the night show, but they're talking about. I guess Tomac's is spending like 2 months out here in
Oh
Phoenix.
yeah, Arizona Cycle Park built a whole Supercross track for him.
Yeah, so I think he's been there. I don't know if he's been at Motoland. I'm sure he's probably touched Motoland. They got a little Supercross track, but it sounds like he's been down here and that ACP's Supercross track and almost like an A1 that gets slick, dry. So maybe he's got a really good setting coming into these West Coast rounds, and San Diego's going to be the same. So I think people better watch out for Tomac.
And I think
Yeah, I mean,
he looked extremely aggressive too. Like he looked even on minute 20, he looked like extremely aggressive. Like it didn't matter who it was, he was going to put it to you.
2022 Tomac. It looks like
Yeah.
he's where he was at before he tore his Achilles.
Yeah, I mean, he even ran it up on Vince Freeze too. The one guy that you're like, he probably only goes to the pop, but he didn't care. He ran him up high and he dropped him. What else did you see out there, Judge? What else caught your eye as far as results, performance? As far as 450s, good or bad?
I think one big surprise, we were kind of really curious what he was going to do. Prado, 14th. I
Yeah,
mean,
but you gotta also factor in some other things. I mean, he ate shit and got 14th. I think Prado for the first 12 minutes impressed the hell out of me. I thought I was highly impressed for the first 12 minutes, and then it looked like he couldn't hold on. He was sitting down. I mean, he was literally sitting down, going in and out of corners.
he just
The comparison right now with Prado that's being thrown on everywhere is Vince Freeze. He gets a great start. He gets up there, but
Like,
halfway through that race,
Oh.
he was in the way. He
Well,
was
yeah.
blocking everyone, cross jump. He
What
almost
was
took out
what was
Webb. He was
Prado's
just in the way until he crashed.
what was Prado's fastest lap time?
Prado finished with a 106.3.
Yeah, and look at Vince Freeze. What did he finish? What was his fastest lap time? 110.
Vince Freeze was a 107.6, and
Yeah,
okay.
I
he
think
finished 15th. He finished one spot behind Prado.
A,
after he crashed.
a
Yeah.
106.3 though, but look, Sexton went 104.5, Roxon 105.1, Anderson 105.6, Webb 105.7, Tomac 105.2, Barsha 105.8.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
he's
he was
up there
running.
with Barsha.
He was
But
running.
Hunter Lawrence put down a 105.
J Coop went 106.3, so he's running J Coop. Justin Hill was faster than Prado.
I
To
don't know.
me,
I
I
was
talked
impressed.
about it.
I
I
mean,
put
I
him as
don't.
my pretender. He looked, by the end of it, he looked gassed. He looks like
Yes,
way, he was riding, it was just way too much for him. I mean, he was just squirrely all over the place, jumping the whoops. It was just, he was getting in the way of everyone. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know what happened, but
I don't think he
I
can hold
wasn't
on. I
impressed.
don't think he can hold on for 20 minutes. I mean, I think he went out there and he's trying to. I mean, I thought early lap Prado looked. I
Struggled
was
with.
impressed. Even in his heat race, I was highly impressed by Prado. I even made notes. I was like, damn, Prado looks good. And then he got to like lap. I think there was 8 minutes left, and he was. I saw him going in and into a corner and come out of a corner, and he was sitting on the seat the entire time. And I think he just got exhausted. I mean, the dude
Yeah.
was. I was impressed with him until 8 minutes left, and then it looked like he his gas tank was gone.
He had a thick undercut on J Coop though coming back across the start. There's a
Yeah,
video of him that was sick. I mean, but yeah, he just looked like he struggled. I mean, yeah, it's you got to think new bike. Second one. What is it? His fifth Supercross ever.
Hey, preview show,
But
you said new bike not going to be a problem.
yeah, it looks
We
like
can go back and look at the
yeah.
tapes. And you said,
I don't
hey,
know.
not going to be a problem.
I
You
think
even said he was going to beat Jay Coop. Jay Coop fucking blew his doors off.
he
he
didn't
I
blow his
just,
doors off. He
he
crashed.
did it until he fell. Hey, you would have cashed our parlay. But yeah, he just is struggling at that end of that moto, and yeah, he doesn't have that fitness. But I wasn't. He didn't. What was his fastest lap in qualifying? I don't even know where he qualified. I just did. I
I'm
was
not sure.
impressed. I was expecting him to show some flash.
See, I don't know why. Why was everyone expecting him to go out there and win? I don't think any. I don't. I
But
never thought he was going to go out there and win.
No, no,
But
I
I
don't think
thought
so.
I thought he was going to be better than last year, and I think he was way better than last year. I mean, yeah, he crashed and he got 14th. You look at the piece of paper like a golf scorecard, yeah, like. But if you actually watch the race, I think he was way, way, way better than
I
last
think
year.
he looked worse. I think he looked worse. He had all offseason. He knew he was going to go full. This is his 100% ready to go, and this is what he gives us 8 minutes ago, and he just starts falling. I don't think I saw that last year.
he looks like the same as he was last year. I don't see really. I not yet the improvement yet.
I think
No,
he.
like I
I
said,
think
that
he's
sprint speed is he's gonna be a great start. He's gonna be right up there. I don't see him cracking top five. I think he'll be battling
no.
for 9, 10, 11. Week in and week out. But the good news, everything that I've heard, he has no expectations from Kawasaki. They are basically just tell him, hey, just finish every single round. We don't care if you don't beat a
Well, he's got
single
a
factory
three.
rider, just finish it.
He's got a 3-year deal already. So I mean, he doesn't. There's nothing. What are they going to do? He's got
Well,
a bike for 3 years.
and they don't care. I mean, you put him outdoors. He's probably one of the favorites to win an outdoor title. So I mean, Kawasaki's probably more relying on him just to learn this year. Anderson's probably last year at Cowie, so he can kind of Anderson can help him out setting up the bike, getting used to the bike maybe, and then outdoors Prado may just take off and just
For me, I thought one of my surprises was I thought Anderson looked off pace.
Hmm.
I thought Sexton and Roxon went around Anderson like he was on a different level. I mean, I think that Anderson doesn't start where he started, and he finished 6th or 7th.
But you threw that out there, right? You threw out, in our preview show, Jason Anderson is going to be one of those guys that once he knows that he's not going to win, he's going to throw out the anchor and he's just going to coast. To be honest, Sexton and Roxon are a level ahead of Anderson.
I
That
don't think I
to
don't
me
think
they
before
are.
A1. I don't think before A1 you say Roxon is levels ahead of Anderson. Maybe
Did
with
you
Sexton, yeah.
did
Sexton
you
is for
I
sure.
mean, they're
did you
they're
see
close, but I
Anderson's
mean,
front
Roxon at least
wheel?
won races, last year.
I saw his front wheel, and we'll see. I mean, let's see next week if that's really a concern or
What a
not. But if
coincidence!
yeah, but
First time they've ever safety wired their fucking spokes, and what do you do? Him and Jet, he fucking goes right into him, drills his peg, and fucking.
yeah,
We'll see, but
I don't know. I just thought I thought Sexton and Roxon went around him way too easily. Like he didn't even put up a fight. I mean, Roxon really went around him like he was standing still.
yeah, okay, interesting. I mean, it's still a podium, right? I mean,
Right, yeah. I
that's
mean, he rode
surprising.
well, but I don't think. I mean, you got to factor in Jet is at the back of the pack. Eli's at the back of the pack. I think if he starts in 10th place, I don't know that he gets above 7th.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I
that's
think it'd be
very
tough.
true.
Yeah, I think it'd be tough to
Um,
get to that top five for sure.
Couple that really stood out to me, CJ, you gave him a really hard time. Why does this guy have a factory ride? Why does his pants are tight? Barsha comes out, puts a six up on the board. I mean, hey, that's a factory ride. I'll take that all day long.
Yeah,
Justin, what do you think? We'll go see that. Justin, Barsha, what do you say? Do you just kind of bite your tongue and be like,
yeah. I mean,
whatever?
yeah, it was a good ride. It was a good ride. He looked good. I mean, he still looked strong at the end of the race too, which is impressive. I mean, that's one of those things after 20 minutes and everyone everyone tenses up in those Supercross races, and he still looked strong. Like I said, Eli Tomac was way back. Jet was way back. Hunter was way back. I think that I think that was one of his better rides. I think that's going to be one of his better finishes for the whole entire year.
Okay, I can definitely see that. And then Justin, I had Justin out there. Justin Hill, eighth place. Shit, he even passed Tomac back when they were getting that little scuffle. Tomac obviously got him back, but Justin Hill surprised the hell out of me. Now he says he's trying. We've heard this before, but I mean, shit, he showed up.
He was my
Yeah, he looked good.
surprise. He was my surprise pick of the whole entire night was Justin Hill.
Yeah.
I thought Justin Hill shocked me more than anybody else. I think Eli rode a hell of a race, but I think we expected that from Eli. I don't think anybody saw Justin Hill going out there and being on TV because people were wanted to watch him race. I was super impressed with Justin Hill, and yeah, like you said, when him and Prado and Eli got all tangled up there together. I mean, he was putting up a fight.
Yeah, he'll looked good. I was very surprised by that. And
What is
he
he riding? He's what the hell? What is he even riding?
it's a Team Tedder.
Team Tedder,
It's a factory
KTM.
KTM.
Yeah, he looked
But
good.
yeah, I mean, yeah, really. I mean,
Better
am
than
I
AP.
am I surprised? Yes. Am I not surprised? No, because we've seen him come out here and put some speed. I mean, we know what he can do. It all just comes down to, what is he doing off the bike? Is he putting in the work? But I mean, yeah, he really showed that battle between the three of them was fucking awesome. I mean, you see him fucking cutting down corners left and right, and three wide in the corner. That was really really impressive ride for Justin Hill, and I hope it continues. We already talked about Prado. Someone else that I put out there that shit in the bed in my eyes with Joey Savacci, right? We've heard, 450, he's great, he's fast, he has the speed, comes out, lays an egg with a 21st at A1 Justin. I don't know. I think Savacci, I think he just kind of, I
I
think that's kind of it.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting much, honestly. I wasn't. Savaccio was like, okay, he makes the main. He's 15th through 22nd. Bike issue, crash, something. 15
yeah.
through.
He's one of those guys that's always on Twitter complaining about something. Him and Starling are those two guys that they bitch about every. They have an excuse for everything. Best race of their life, best finish of their life, and there's always a problem. I don't know. The guy can't even be Ryan Brees in an arena cross race. I don't know how he's gonna go out there and do anything in Supercross. I don't know. I was never even thinking about Savacci. For me, the two guys that I thought didn't look good or didn't do as well as I thought that they would be Jet, of course. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't know what do you even say about Jet? I mean, he rode around in 15th place for like 5 minutes. He rode around behind McElrath for like 6 laps, and then when he got on McElrath's back tire, it took him a lap and a half to get around him. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot to worry about with Jet. I know he got on his Instagram real quick and he tried to blame Honda, which was a new thing that from Jet. I mean, you never really hear him going in there and blaming the bike and he to me he jumped on Instagram the next day and he kind of threw Honda under the bus there and said there's a lot of things they got to figure out with the bike. They're having bike issues. He can't go through the whoops skimming them. He can't jump through the whoops. I mean, he posted that on his Instagram. I can't imagine that if you're Honda, you're excited about Jet going out publicly and saying stuff like that. I don't know. I'm be
Nope.
interested to see what happens with him next week, but I think that there's some confidence issues. I think there's some bike issues, and I think that that gap is being bridged by these top guys. I mean, Eli Tomac, Chase Sexton, Cooper Webb. They know. I mean, they are top athletes in the entire world, and they're going to figure it out.
No, absolutely. Who else did you have? I think you said you had one more.
Oh yeah. Oh, who else did we have that didn't do very well? I don't know. I thought Mookie did really well after eating shit. I think him finishing 10th place was impressive.
Took a digger, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
surprised he
That was
raced.
brutal.
I'm surprised he
he
raced. That was bad.
yeah, he laid on the track, and I thought it was pretty funny that James didn't even sound concerned. He was basically like, "Get your bitch ass up, dude!" Like
Yeah.
he was like, RC kind of made some hints like, "Okay, your brother's down," and he's like, "You better get your ass up. I paid for plane tickets." Like, and and I thought it was cool that it was kind of on him to tell them to get the bike ready, and he went out there and he looked a little cautious at the beginning of that LCQ, but he got it done, and I mean he looked good in the main. I mean I'm sure he was sore. I'm sure he it looked like he laid on the ground for a while, whether it was his back or knocked the wind out of him or whatever. I mean he hit the ground hard, and to finish 10th place in front of both the Lawrence brothers, that's I thought that was an impressive ride.
Yeah, especially coming from the LCQ, he had a bad gate pick too, most likely on the outside and getting
Oh,
cutting about it. How about you,
Oh,
Justin?
oh,
Anyone
AP.
else
Sorry,
for?
my other guy that
I was
didn't do
gonna get
good.
to that.
AP. I don't know. I like I said in the last week's podcast. I mean I like AP and I like that he's a crowd pleaser and that's cool for the sport. But like I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think he's that guy. Like I think that we saw the best of AP at those like random mud races when a bunch of shit happens to somebody else and he gets a start, like he maybe runs into a good finish. But like I don't think he showed speed ever at A1.
No, I mean he had a 106.3. Justin Hill had a faster lap time than him. Justin Barsha did. Hunter Lawrence did. Jorge Prado did. I mean, yeah, a ninth for Aaron Plessinger. That was just wasn't good, Justin.
yeah, I wasn't. I mean, that's kind of where I figured he would finish. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't surprised. I didn't think he was gonna be AP like he was last year. I don't think he's a podium guy. I think he struggles to get top five if he even gets one this year. So if he
But
does,
even betting wise, who did they have AP up against? Jason Anderson.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean
Jimmy Anderson,
To put Jason Anderson and AP against each other, I think is comical. I mean, I don't I mean, you put just those two on the track together and Anderson wins 11 out of 10 times. Like AP is never beating him straight up. He needs Anderson to wreck or something.
Yeah, yeah. Justin, anything else stand out to you for 50s?
no, not really. I just think it's going to be a good year. I think Tomac and Sexton may be the top two in the championship if Jet doesn't get this bike figured out. If these guys, they've already kind of beat Jet down this first round. If Jet can't get his confidence back and struggles, and he could just have an up and down year, maybe force himself into a mistake and gets hurt. Kind of what happens when you start getting in your head and you become a head case. So he talked a lot of shit about, perfect rider, me, me, me. Well, you're on the ground for the
Who
corner.
shit the bed? Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You shit the bed
The
work.
internet always wins, dude.
I think Deegan might have beat him at A1 if they actually raced.
Yeah,
Right.
probably.
On a 250, yeah, even if
Yeah.
he was on that 450.
Yeah.
So
Shit
that
made it
brings
head
me
to
to my
head.
next question. This is for all three of us. Does this change after A1? Does this change your championship picks?
Cool.
Um, Justin,
Yeah.
we'll start with you. I believe you said you had Kitchen. Obviously, he's not racing, so that's
Yeah.
going to change it a little bit. And I want us to be honest, right? I don't want us to say no, Prado's still going to be the champion. No, like we're watching this. Let's see, who he thinks actually going to pull it in. But I believe you had Tomac right, and then 250. Who I know you're kind of leading in Deegan now that Kitchen's out, but does A1 change anything as far as your championship picks?
I think you got to throw Beaumare there. Beaumare, I think he's going to be the consistent one. I think Shimoda's maybe transitions back to normal Shimoda after maybe 2-3 rounds where he struggles and then can't get through a pack because he can't get the starts figured out. I like for him to be up front. I think Shimoda, Beaumare, and Deegan would be a great three-way battle. But I think it's going to be between Beaumare and Deegan. If Deegan does what he did this week, gets a bad start, gets collected in a crash, one or two more times, he's going to lose too many points. And if
Let
Beaumare's
me ask you this. If
podium,
Juju has the same start as Deegan does, what place does Juju get? And this is for both of you.
I
ooh,
mean,
yeah,
Deegan's the favorite to win.
yeah,
He's going to be the fastest.
I think Deegan's going to beat him straight up. But I just don't Deegan,
I think Deegan is. I don't know. I don't think that he matured at all. I think he regressed as far as him being out of control. And I think that he's so badly, which is good for the sport and it's good for all of us watching and it's good for him. It's good to have somebody like that. He wants to win, I think, more than anybody, and I think he has the confidence that he should win more than anybody. But I just don't see him. I don't see him being able to ride at that sketchy ass level and hit the ground as many times as he does and just keep walking away with it. I mean, they showed a highlight reel in at A1. They showed a highlight reel of Deegan eating shit all over the place. I mean, look at outdoors. He had some crazy get offs and he
Mm-hmm.
jumps back up and he's fine. And I
Yep.
just don't, I mean, not that his crash was that bad, but I mean, all it takes is for your hand to slip into someone's back tire when you do one of those wrecks or something like that.
It
I
doesn't
mean,
even have to be him. It could be the bike, right?
yeah,
He breaks. I mean, we've seen him ride some fucking mangled bikes, but it could be. I agree. I think it's the brain farts. That's what he has to. He has to understand that. Hey, coming out seventh on the first turn is okay.
yeah.
You can still make it through. It's not. I have to win every single thing, no matter. I like it, but like you said, it has to be the maturity. You race against the best in the world. That's not always going to happen. So with me, I picked Deegan as 250. I'm still going to stick with Deegan. I think a lot of this had to do with A1 hype. Everyone was hyping it up, hometown race. He wanted to, go out there. So I'm still sticking with Deegan for 250. CJ seems like maybe you're still leaning Deegan for the 250 title.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to give it to Deegan. I mean, I know I originally had thought Kitchen could put some pressure on him. I don't know that there's anybody else that can put that pressure on him to force him to make those mistakes. I mean, he still may make them on his own, but I mean, I think that he's going to be the fastest guy. He's gonna if he loses the title, he's going to lose it himself. No one's going to beat him straight up.
yeah, I
And
got.
then Justin, where are you? You're going to stick with Deegan for right now as
Yeah,
well.
I think you kind of got to. I think exactly what CJ said. I think it's Deegan's title to lose. I think he's gonna, if anything, he's gonna blow it himself. He's gonna yard sale, get in his head, or he's gonna mess with someone, and someone's just gonna say screw it, and take him out. You know, these kids are all trying to put food on their plate. So some of these young kids, they aren't scared to throw an elbow, take someone out. They're doing it all the time. So Deegan starts messing with the wrong person, he might get a front wheel taken out. We have some east-west shootouts too, which that lost Kitchen the title last year. He crashed in the east-west shootout, I think, in Nashville. So that ruined that title chance. So you never know what can happen in those. So Deegan's got to be consistent.
All right. So all three of us still riding with Deegan for now. Going into 450s All Star, because I know you both chose Tomac, and I'm sure you're both sitting pretty high. I chose Jet. I'm not feeling great about it, but I still have confidence in the kid. I've seen what he can do. I think he's going to figure it out. I still think he's going to be able to, wrap up, 6, 7 wins and still kind of put it together. No panic button yet. But as far as you, CJ Tomac, are you feeling more confident, same confident? Sexton a little bit more of a problem that we were anticipating? Or are you thinking, nope, Tomac's going to go get this done because Laura's not going to be able to overcome these challenges?
I think that Jet is still. I mean, Jet's still not out of the picture. I mean, the guy's good. He's gonna do what it takes. He's a world champion too. I mean, the same as Eli is. He's gonna go and he's gonna figure it out. And I think we're gonna see a stronger, better Jet as we progress. But I mean, if I'm a betting man and I had to pick somebody, I'm still picking Tomac. I think Tomac has something to prove. He doesn't have pressure on him. He doesn't have a contract that he's got to worry about. He wants to go out on top. I think that we saw very, very fast, very aggressive, very controlled Eli at A1 that, like I said, I think that we get to Glendale. Leaving Glendale is going to be a really big picture for me on what the points look like. But yeah, I mean, I'm still riding with Tomac. I mean, yeah, Sexton. I think Sexton had a pretty easy night at A1. I mean, he had to deal with Ken Roxon, which I think any of those top guys can handle Roxon. But I mean, he was basically wire to wire leader after the third corner or whatever. I think that you give him a little bit more pressure and some guys he's got to get around. I don't think Sexton goes out there and just runs away with the title.
No, and then Justin, throwing back over the one thing that, Sexton seems like he's fixed, we'll see, is his starts, right? His starts were terrible last year. If he started up there with Tomac, 1, 2, 3, 4, these guys are going to be battling it out nonstop because we know Sexton has that speed to pick up. But how are you feeling with Tomac? Are you more confident? Still feel the same after A1?
I feel a little bit better with that pick. I think Tomac showed a lot at round one. Honestly, it's kind of what I expected. I wanted to see that from Tomac. I think we even talked on our last podcast with Tomac doing all this racing, all this riding, building that base back. We were hoping Tomac was going to come out and come on fire, and I think he shut a lot of people up. I think a lot of people were, Tomac's old now, Jet's so much better. Tomac's, is he going to get top fives? His career's over. And I think Tomac made a statement. He said, hey, I'll come out and go P1 in qualifying. And then, hey, I'll fall and still come through the pack and up to fifth and still prove to you that I got that raw speed. And he looked comfy. He almost looks like a midseason Tomac, and that's scary. One.
I think a big comparison to look at is it wasn't just Tomac coming through the pack. I mean, Jet and him both had to come through the pack, and
Mhm.
Jet finished 11th, and he was struggling to get around McElrath. And on or minute 20, Tomac's putting moves on Barsha.
No,
I
Tarzan,
think
yeah.
I think that it was a big. I mean, to be able to see those two in comparison, I think if it was just Eli, we would have been like, oh yeah, probably any one of those guys would have done that. But when you see another one of the main guys that did the exact same thing, not do it, I think it was even more impressive.
And Tomac was behind Jet too when he fell, so that was even more.
It sounds
Yeah,
like
then
Jet had
Jet
another
crashed
problem.
again.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sounds
he
like
crashed again.
Jet had a second problem from what they were talking about that it doesn't sound like they showed on TV because I didn't see it, but they said that he had two issues. But still, I mean, watching him, like he looked like he was flowing, he looked smooth. But I mean, like I said, he rode around behind McElrath for a whole lap, and it was just weird. I don't know. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
to prove himself, or these guys are going to write him off here quickly if he doesn't come out and do something.
No, absolutely. All right. That's it for A1. Now let's dive into, we had our betting review, talked about last week. We both kind of went over some parlays and picks. We all agreed, Webb over Hunter, that ended up hitting even with Webb being off the bike for a while. We all picked, what was it, Ken Roxon over Barsha, I believe. That we all thought was an 100% lock. We were split on Prado J Coop. I had J Coop. He got that one done, and then we stayed away from Sexton and Tomac. Sexton got that one locked away, and then there was one other one. Oh, Anderson versus AP. We all were fairly confident. Anderson was going to get the job done. So honestly, across the board, pretty well. I went 4 for 4. You guys went 3 for 4. Sexton Tomac, we kind of stayed away from it. But Justin, what are the matchups that we have? This weekend heading into San Diego, your hometown.
This week, there's a lot of heavy favorites in these matchups. They're kind of a little ridiculous. So you got Sexton versus Webb. Sexton's minus 210, and then you got
Okay, so let's talk about that one. Who we like that one? Sexton versus
put your
Webb.
put your 401k on Sexton. I mean,
Yeah,
Confident. Okay.
I think that one is closer than the odds show it. I think minus 210 for Sexton. I don't think I think that like I said, I think that Sexton doesn't start up front like he did, and I think that he has troubles. I don't not that he's troubles, but I don't think he goes through the pack. I don't like I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think Sexton just blows Webb's doors off.
no, it's against Hunter.
Oh, you said Webb.
Did I say Webb?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I started to say Webb for the next one. For the next.
Oh, okay, so it's Sexton versus Hunter.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a joke. Yeah, that's
Sexton versus Hunter. Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's a
what are the
joke.
odds on Sexton?
minus 210.
Okay, all
Oh
right, there we
God.
go. Yeah, that's
That's gonna
embarrassing. I
be
mean,
minus 1,000.
you
Yeah,
need
that's
Sexton. You need both of his tires to fall off for that to not go his way.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the next one is Webb and Tomac.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, I'm
But
still leaning Tomac on
but
that one pretty heavily, even
surprise,
knowing Webb going into it being
Tomac
off the bike still.
Tomac's minus 188. So that's kind of a big. I mean, yeah, Tomac, but you never know with Webb. You can't count that guy out at a later part of the moto. But I mean, I think if they both start next to each other, Tomac wins. But to be at minus 188, I think it's closer than that.
I'm going with
All right.
Tomac all day on my parlay with that.
Oh,
Yeah, I agree. So right now we got Sexton over Hunter by a landslide, Tomac over Webb. What's the next one we got?
we got Barsha and Roxon.
I think Roxon whoops his
I'm
ass all
still
day.
going with
Yeah,
Roxon again.
yeah. Roxon
What are the odds on those?
Roxon's minus 210, Barsha plus 160.
Okay,
Heavy
yeah. So
favorite.
once again, you're still going there. What's the next one we got? Hopefully something a little bit better.
This one's a joke because the one guy didn't even make the damn main event. You got Dylan Fernandez versus Justin Cooper, and
Oh,
Cooper
God.
210, heavy favorite. I mean, why you don't even have to discuss that one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah, that seems crazy to me. I think that you take is that all of them?
We got one more. I believe it's AP versus Anderson, and Anderson's minus 188.
take Anderson. So
I think
you
Anderson.
you take all five favorites, and you're looking pretty. I'd be curious to see what the odds are on that parlay, but I would feel great
Well,
riding every single favorite.
Yeah,
654.
plus six
What
fifty
was that?
four.
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Put
that's a
$100 on it, win
make
six
Well,
50.
600.
I even
That ain't bad.
I even have I put Sexton, Roxon, and Cooper together, and that's plus 221.
Yeah.
That's a nice little.
I don't know how putting these in there. They're about to be out of a job if they
Yeah,
keep going
who's
Yeah,
making
at this
these?
rate.
I don't know.
It reminds me a couple years ago when we all made out on, what
Jet.
was it? Jet was like plus 250 or something like
Yeah, to
that to
win
win.
outdoor
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
with
crazy.
that was with Chase Sexton out with mono.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was like
that
the biggest layup I've ever seen. And there's a lot of layups here. No, there's not very much money if you're just betting singles, but you can feel very confident stringing a couple of those together and put some good money on it. So if you are a better, look at those. A lot of them they're gonna be layups. Now, anything can happen, we know, but I mean,
You want to know what's
you lead have
for
favorites there.
the odds to win San Diego Supercross? Jet is favored at plus 125
yeah, but I think a lot of that is. I mean,
from.
people still have a lot of confidence in Jet. I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
I mean, I, I'm still staying away from betting on a winner. I mean, it's just too tough. I mean, it could be. I could see Tomac, Sexton, Jet, Webb. I could see any of those guys winning, and
Yeah.
you start.
Well, that's the thing. Tomac's plus 300, Sexton's plus 400, and Webb is plus 1100.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you could hedge quite
You
a few of them, and I honestly I don't think right now four maybe five guys can actually win these motos. I think Jet, I think Sexton, Tomac, Webb, Roxon might even be able to squeeze one in there. But I mean, if you hedge it properly and put your money right, you could probably still make some money regardless with some of those crazy odds like Webb plus 1100. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, especially parlaying some of those head to heads. I mean, if there's a couple of them that you think are close, I mean, the odds are at plus 654. I mean, you could swap a couple riders here and there, and you're still going to come out ahead.
I
Yeah,
did,
no,
I,
absolutely.
I did swap. I did make two parlays. I did one with all our bets, and then I did one with Eric's where I just swapped Prado and Cooper. So it hedged.
Hey, yep, there you go. All right. Last thing here, we're going into it. San Diego picks. Justin, who's gonna win San Diego? We'll start off with 250s.
250. I think Deegan's gonna come with the redemption this week. I think Deegan's gotta. I think Deegan he's got to prove that he can win this. So Deegan's got to make a statement after his atrocious A1, and I think maybe the pressure's a little bit higher, but I think he's just gonna come out with something even more to prove. And it's like a must win because if he crashes and finishes fifth again, 2/5 in 250. You know, you only got what, 8 rounds, 8 9 rounds. That's a lot. That's a lot of points.
Yep. Cesar, who you got 250 San Diego this weekend?
I think Deegan has to win. I mean, it's almost a must win for Deegan. I think Deegan. I think he, as long as he doesn't yard sale, I think he wins. But a little bit of a bonus pick for me. I think Master Pool podiums.
Wow. That is a bold pick there, right there. That's a hot take. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I think Deegan. I think if anything, hopefully this humbled him and showed him, hey, hopefully Brian goes and talks to him, just hey, dude, you just came from last to fifth. It's okay if you start 10th. All right, like you have the speed. If the start's not there, bring it in and let's race. The full race. Um, 450. CJ, we'll start with you. Who do you have for San Diego 450?
I don't think that Jet has it all together yet. I think Tomac gets his first win of the year. San Diego.
All right, Justin, who you got? San Diego.
I'm gonna go Tomac. I think if Tomac gets a top 10 start, I think he's moving through the pack and gonna win. So as long as he gets anything better than top 10 start, I think he's gonna be the winner at the end of the night. Even if Sexton gets a good start, I think Tomac's just gonna come out firing. And Jet, who get a top 5? I'm gonna leave him off the podium.
Yeah, I'm with. I don't think Jet's gonna quite have it figured. It's not gonna be as bad. I can see him bit on top 5, squeezing to put him. I'm gonna ride with Sexton. I think Sexton has the confidence. He's very much a head case. When he's confident, he's ready to rip. He looked really good, especially if his starts are there too. I'm gonna go with Sexton over into San Diego. But that is it for us. Thank you for listening. You can follow us on X. We're on Spotify, of course. We're now on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. We'll post some clips in there as well. But, thank you for listening to us. We'll be back next week, most likely. Get the show out on Monday, hopefully going over San Diego. But thank you, CJ, Justin, for joining. And hey, we'll talk to you next week. See you later.
All righty. See ya.